good thing. That was great. I was just gonna let her continue to talk. You know how I was gonna do, y'all.
Yeah, but I'm glad that I'm sitting over here looking at the screen like, wait, nope, I got myself.
I heard the hello. It was great. It was so great.
I don't think I sound that cutesy like.
No, you do. You did. You did sound like hello.
Okay, I was just like,
I'm Jade though,
and I'm Winona, and we remembered.
High five. Social
distance.
Y'all don't touch people's hands. COVID out there.
Every time you say that, like people need a reminder.
Well, sometimes they do. Listen. I'm gonna tell y'all a real story. Right, the other day I like jumped out the car and was like about to get my gas, and I was like, something is missing. Where's my mask? Yeah, it was bad, y'all. And I was like, oh my goodness, how did I forget? So sometimes you need like a reminder.
Okay,
so people looking at you odd, like, why is this person masculine?
Okay, she's talking about it's bad. I'm like, okay, so I went to get my first shot of the vaccine. I went in a full-on white, like onesie that zippers up the front coverall with the white hood, with something over, with like a hat over my head, with a face shield, with 2 masks on, a protective eyewear, and 2 sets of gloves. And the lady was like, I had to stick you in the arm. And I was like, yeah, that's why I wore, like, and I had something like laminated over, just holding on this one shoulder. So like when the air hit me, it wouldn't hit my shirt. I was like, you can stick me right here. No, you can't pull it down any further to hit my shirt now.
Yeah. I think like one day, like later, like so much later, like 15 years from now, there will be like the COVID. And like, I think people will
laugh about it.
We will laugh about it and be like, we looked obscenely hilarious. What were we thinking? I think that's what's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be like TV shows and everything. I think it's literally what's gonna happen, and we're gonna laugh.
We'll be alive to see it.
Anyway, I know. We wrote books. Yeah, we wrote literary life guides with pop poetry. Although like we're silly and we wear coveralls and stuff. We actually do have something really good to say in these these books, right? So, and I thought divorce was bad with other life lessons, and I thought being grown up was easy. The Woman's Cave and other power poems.
Our only best-selling poetry book. It made it to number 2. No, it's our second one.
It's number 1. It made it to number
one, right?
Why are you?
And it stayed there
for a while.
Almost
on Amazon. Like I was shocked. I was like, are y'all sure you really want to read what we have to say?
But I thank you for the royalty.
We thank you though. We thank you for checking it all out. And remember, some of these books are available on Audible. So inspiration to go, right? All right. Oh, I love it. Inspiration to go. Yeah, I feel like I just want a coffee.
Okay,
now.
Hold on. I was gonna say no. It's going on a coffee mug.
I feel like that should be on a coffee mug. All right, you can find out everything you ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com, and just the abbreviated version because all of one page.
It's www.andithoughtLadies.com.
All right, but y'all aren't here to hear us drone on about COVID.
Although I wouldn't mind.
About COVID on the books that we wrote. You want to hear from our wonderful guests.
Wonderful guests, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. I'm Joanie Strulowitz, and I appreciate being here so much. Laura Siobhan is the editor, who's amazing, and she told me about you. And I had just said that to you. And the thing about me, I guess, when I grew up in Iowa when I was like 4 years old. From then on, I always wanted to be in New York. I always felt like my book, I should show you the cover. I don't know if you can see this.
Tell us the title because some people listen to this on the podcast.
It's My Love Affair with Manhattan, Vignettes of a Life in the City. And these are actually the shoes that I walked around the city in, like 45 to 130 blocks a day. Ooh. And loved it. It's always been like part of me. And even when I was 4 years old, and it was very odd when I was in Iowa, and Iowa is a wonderful place to live and grow up and everything else, but people asked me all the time, just out of nowhere, you're from New York, aren't you? And I was like, no, Iowa. And they'd say, but your parents are, aren't they? And I'd say, no, they're from Iowa. I think there's certain places that are in our souls from now, before, whatever. And it just always was. And I remember one time that when I was in New York, and this was as an adult, I was there in '68 during the Great Garbage Strike in Manhattan. And the bags were stacked literally like to the sky. And I remember, and I was on the Upper East Side, and I was seeing these magnificent high rises. And that wasn't what I was jealous of. It was that the people who lived there got to put their trash out in Manhattan. That was the part that it was like, I wanted to put my trash out in Manhattan. And I ended up living there, later on when I was 57, I moved there. And what I say about my book is it's a love story. Forgive me for reading this. A love story told by a woman who mattered, not because of who she was, but because of how she saw the soul and the heartbeat of Manhattan and wished them to live forever. And that's how I felt about it. And I was supposed to go there last spring for a visit. I'm in LA now because my family's here. And I was supposed to go there and couldn't. And they were hit, so badly that it was like I just wanted to wrap my arms around the city and New Yorkers, wherever they were. And so I sent my book out instead. And this is when I published it. And did you want to ask me more things, or do you want me to just tell you more?
Well, it doesn't matter. Well, first of all, I need to talk about how you ended up in LA, but you love Manhattan.
That's like opposite.
That's literally the opposite side of the country. Like literally. I know you said you moved there because of family, but what are the differences between Manhattan and LA?
Apples and oranges in some ways, and in other ways they're just flip sides of the same coin, and people seem to go back and forth so often. I'm not actually in the industry as far as the film industry, but as far as being a writer, it's like there's so many of us with the writing, with the everything. New York, when I got there, I was there for 6.5 years. I thought I would be there forever. It was like finding nirvana. I can't even explain it. And after 6.5 years, then my second grandchild was born. And at that point, my daughters were both in LA. And it was very interesting. For some reason, even great aunts and uncles, so many moved from Iowa to New York to LA. And I don't know what that path was, but I was one more that was on that. And, to be on the computer looking at these kids on a screen, it's like, why? When I'm a writer and I could be any place. And I said once to one of my daughters, I said, my home is my castle. It always has been. It can be the size of my hand. Like my New York apartment pretty much was the size of my hand, but it's my castle. And I said, so how is it that I moved from one to another, because I went from Iowa to Chicago to New York and then LA. And she said, maybe you have a lot of castles. And it's true, because it feels like home too. But New York is in my soul.
Oh, the wonderful sunshine. I think that makes up for a lot, right?
Right, LA, right? The sunshine.
The weather in general.
Yes.
Oh. I remember the first time I got off. No, I did not get off the plane. Didn't we drive over? Did we drive over to LA?
No, the first time.
No, the first time we flew. Right. I got off the plane and I was like, oh, I need to live here.
She did. She's like, just because of the sun.
I was like, just because of the sun, the weather. I mean, even the pollution. I'm like, the pollution even looks cooler here. I'm sorry, I have to live here. And then I saw the prices of rent and went, I'm going back home. Where I will be happy and content. But anyway, I can understand the love affair with New York, I guess, and feeling at home in LA.
So have you always been a writer, or is it something like new that you've taken up?
No, writing is another thing that was always just a part of me. And the first thing that I wrote was when I was 4 years old. I wrote a love letter to the little boy who was visiting his cousin down the street. And my mother was very sweet. She didn't laugh at me, but she did help me edit it. It was my first rejection. I never heard from him. And it was my first rejection as a writer too, but I kept writing. And I always wanted to write. It was always in me. And then I got to the point where this one is My Love Affair with Manhattan is indie published. And I felt like it was something that, like I said before, there are some things that I've written that they're okay, they belong in a drawer and should never see daylight. This one I felt deserved to be out there. And I felt like it's such a love story to New York and about New York. And like I said, I wanted to wrap my arms around New York when all of this happened. And so I wanted it out there. And so that's how this came to be. But yeah, I've always been a writer.
So do you think your next book is going to be your love letter to LA?
You know, I thought about that. My next book is actually going to be a young adult fantasy, and which I've been working on for like about 4.5 years, and I'm in the finishing edits on that. And with me, it's interesting. I don't know what your process is. For me, books, when it's meant to be, it suddenly pours out, and parts of it will pour out whole. And then there's the part where you rework and you have to kill your darlings. And it doesn't matter if they're so near and dear to you, if they don't, do what they're supposed to do, you either pump them up or you take them out. And but anyway, this was one that came out after, oh, it was like one day I sat down, all of a sudden it started coming out with this 17-year-old male protagonist, and it's like fantasy. And I'd never written that, and I'd never written a novel. And I was like, wait, where did they come from? And it was all of a sudden I realized it was something that I'd been processing for like the last 6 or 8 years in my mind, and it came out. The Manhattan book came out because I loved it so much. It was like it had to come out. It had to. It was my love letter. And I used to sit there at night and write with a candle and write to New York.
Wow. I really like how you said that this next book is one of those books that it's been going around in your head, because I think as authors, and like I wasn't really an author until Winona Jackson Kicking and Screaming, but to see Winona work all these years about like this is a story that needs to be told. She's like, yeah, my characters are yelling at me. Like they're telling me it's time to write them, and I'm like, no, it's not. And she's like, and you know what? You go down to write anything else. You start writing a letter, and guess what happens? Your characters come out. So she's like, you have to write it. And I feel like that's a thing that a lot of authors can relate to.
And it's nice to see that I'm not just crazy.
You're not just the only one.
You're not crazy. Besides which, we all need some of that craziness, like it's a healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did they say? Authors are the only people who get paid to listen to the voices in their head.
But I think Brady says it all the time.
Yes.
Brady and the 40-Day Writer, and it's very interesting when you talk to other authors. They're like, yeah, sometimes you plot it out. Actually, are you a plotter or are you a pantser?
No, it's funny because I'd never even heard I'm a pantser, if you call it that. But I'd never even heard that expression until a couple of years ago. No, if I plotted everything out, it would never happen. With me, some of my best writing, so sorry, with probably spam. Yeah. So I'm so sorry. They will.
Well, that happens to everyone. I was hoping that it was like the New York Times calling you, telling you have a best-selling book. I was excited for you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. No, with me, it's like some of my best writing comes out on I'll be at the grocery store and I might be at a point where it's like, yeah, what's going on? And all of a sudden I'll write half a chapter on a grocery bag walking home.
Mm-hmm.
There are things like that, or right in the middle of the night. And you think something is brilliant. And then in the morning you look and think, nah, but that's how I get into it. And that's how it comes out. And then later I'll do the cut and paste and literally, like I did that this morning, where it's like Rubik's Cube, and you move things around and you delete and I think we all have our own processes. But basically, yeah, I write intuitively.
So where can people find out more about your book and possibly even buy it?
That's so nice. I'm on Amazon, so they can go there, and I'm on Goodreads. I'm selling on Amazon though, and I also have my website, which is joaniestrulowitz.com, and where they can find out more about who I am, what I do. Little blog posts, a lot of which are funny ones, and that tell you, because I think a lot of times you want to know, okay, who is this person you're reading about? If you're going to spend time with them, you want to know like who they are.
Right. Yeah, because we talk about that a lot, talking about how now people want to know who the authors are, right? And so you are your brand.
Exactly.
You know what's darling is I made a couple of calls. One was to Geek Squad, and one was, I don't even remember, something else. And they said, you're a writer. And I mean, they were so just genuinely thrilled with it.
Yeah.
So
Fun. It is kind of fun. I feel like the age of the well, I would call them rock star writers, but I guess in the celebrity writers, right?
Yeah, they're celebrity. Oh, well, you can call them rock stars.
I call them rock star writers. I was returning.
I'm looking forward to it because I got cute for this.
I believe so much in, like you two do, about sharing other people's stories, passing along, by word of mouth, things like that. So I'm thrilled to more spam.
I think that's our segment.
I think that might be us.
Thrilled to pass along your names.
Thank you so much. And we want to.
Can you tell us again where that website is?
Yes, so people can find you and read your funny blog posts. One more time, you tell us the website.
Oh my God, I could throw these at a wall. You can't turn them up. JoanieStrulowitz.com. It's STRULOWITZ.
Absolutely. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com. Oh, we'd like to thank Joanie for coming on today. And you can, while you're there,
welcoming.
Thank you. While you're there at www.andwethought.com, take a moment, go to the ladies tab and find out the charities that we probably support. Maybe support them also. Or you want all of this just in a really short way. How do you do it?
www.andithoughladies.com.
So just remember, y'all, wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona
and Jade. Bye bye. Oh yeah, thanks for listening.